And I think some of it we kind of nailed down to being the cat's fault, right? Some of it was just natural phenomenon that was happening in the house, such as I get this weird feeling every time I walk by this spot of the kitchen, and it's just crazy, just like it's a portal or something. Now, she had an old 1960s microwave, right? And that EMF with that thing was like 12 feet across the room, right? And you're like, take that out, and then it'll probably stop. And so what she did, we asked her to unplug that old microwave, just unplug it, and then go for a week and see if that thing happens to you. And she hit me up on the phone one day. She called me and she goes, you know, ever since I unplugged that microwave, that portal has disappeared. And I went, sweet, we fixed your ghost problem, right? So, again, that's where these kind of tools made a difference, where we could document something tangible that we can show our client and say, look, this is what's going on, right? Really, this equipment is more for debunking than it is proving. Because I'll be the first to tell you, you catch anything in equipment, especially K2s and this other kind of stuff, you're going to have a skeptic that's going to tell you an alternate situation, and they're going to be right to some degree. They're going to be right until something really weird happens, especially some of this audio stuff. Some of this audio stuff that we catch, all they can say is that we faked it because it's pretty loud, right? You know, that's all they can say. And we've got a couple, and we didn't get really loud, and we may take some time to try to
amp them through a program, see if it'll help.
Okay, we'll try a little bit of that. Yes, ma'am.
Well, you have a lot of experience with white noise. Have you done any? Have you had a good experiences with it?
Probably a white noise guy right there. Yeah.
White noise is basically a carrier wave, because ghosts don't have a voice box to speak out of like everybody here on Earth does. But you know, you play white noise, they can manipulate the energy coming from that white noise to tell you things. And for me personally, I do a lot of EVP experiments on my own. But I found that, you know, if you ever gone to bed and you thought you could hear somebody talking or something sound like familiar music, 9 times out of 10 it's probably going to be if you sleep with a fan. The fan is like, it not only does it put off EMF, but it's a type of sleep paralysis as well that once you're falling asleep, you often hear voices and stuff like that. But if you have a fan blowing on you, your ears picking up the sound of the wind, and then it could be a spirit talking to you, or it could just be audio pareidolia. But to easier answer your question, I get better responses using white noise than I do just a regular recorder.
Yeah, that's the thing. What he's talking about is we found most often that you give them some sort of generic noise in which they can manipulate. And the reason why we're going to show you these ITC radios again, and that's a prime example of some constant kind of noise in which they can manipulate and do things with. Which leads to the next piece of equipment that I have to talk about is the ITC. Now, this one I'm just going to kind of turn on. I think the battery's in it. I think you'll be able to just hear it enough right here just for the idea. Radio, right?
And ITC stands for
Instrumental transcommunication. It's
what that's doing is changing the station. You notice that you can't make out anything it's saying right now.
every time you hear like that sound, that's a different station. So it's scanning very, very rapidly. This one actually scans what
This one's 200 milliseconds.
200 milliseconds.
Yeah.
small radio scanner.
Yeah, you basically.
This one is the professional model that Gary Galka makes. But when this first began, there was a guy named Frank Sumption who hacked the Radio Shack radio to continually scan without stopping. And more so than that, usually when you get a radio to scan, you can't hear the stations playing. But this one, this guy made it to where it does that no matter what you do. And you can change the rate of the speed. And he also injected white noise. That way it filters out radio stations. And when something's talking to you over the full spectrum of the whole, 88 FM to 108, something talks to you through the whole thing, you know it's not a radio station broadcast. Yes.
Maybe you're talking about something
Did it just say Martin?
that I've never understood. When I will have the heater or the air conditioner come on in that closet, it's right outside
keep having the sensation that I'm hearing voices, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm psychotic, I'm not going to tell anybody, but I'm hearing voices, I'm not hearing, is that what you're talking about, that white noise?
Yeah, it's usually like ambient noise. So like if you go to where, say, you hear water pouring out somewhere, if you stand there long enough and pay attention to it long enough, it will sound like something's talking. But it's just your brain trying to make a pattern out of sound that's going on. It's not necessarily
I'm not psychotic.
It's not necessarily that you have a spirit in your home. It's just that our brains are conditioned to make sense out of random patterns.
Okay.
That's why if you stare at a TV that's on an off channel long enough, you feel like you see things moving inside of it. It's not always the case.
Yeah, we call it matrixing. This one so you can get a louder here. Y'all hear that? We'll get into that here in a little bit, but the stuff's going to go on here. We're going to do an experiment with this. We're going to run a little session here in a minute. While he was talking to you guys, I've actually heard Martin twice on the radio. That's why I was like, who's this? Moving along to the last thing that I have, to the most expensive piece of nonsense in the whole wide world. That's right. While it's powering up. This is a FLIR bead cam. Has anybody ever heard of FLIR whatsoever?
Yeah.
Okay. Who has not? Right? Any of you ever heard of thermal imaging?
Yep.
That's what this is. FLIR is forward-looking
Infrared.
Yeah, that's right. Forward-looking infrared. That's right. For anybody that can see the screen from here at all whatsoever, can anybody see that screen at all? Right? Can you see my hand? Right? And all it does is pick up heat. Right? The temperature fluctuations like I was talking about in the room. Right? It's a way to monitor if someone were to step in front of it that no live person's there, and you've got live actual video watching this, so you got both of them at the same time where you can document there was no human, you didn't see anybody in the camera, and then something walked out in front of it, then you can document it by thermal imaging.
Would the thermal energy be hotter or colder?
It does both. And there have been some that have caught things that were hotter, and some that have caught things that were colder, right? This particular camera, as small as it is $4,500. I have caught nothing with it. You can't. The cool part about FLIR is that it makes this really interesting. You buy one of these, you have to register it with the federal government. The FBI knows what this is, right?
Why?
Imagine if this got in the hands of Al Qaeda, right? It sees through walls and things like this. Heat on the other side, heat signatures where humans are. Also electronics that are heating up in walls, and some people use it for building inspections. Like there's a water leak, there's a cooler part in the corner of the room. But could you imagine the capability of someone that had ill intent, right, of turning this on and just monitoring somebody's house, right? And they walk through the windows and all this kind of stuff. I mean, this is a terrible peeping Tom thing right here. But the biggest part is that they could take this and someone, say Al-Qaeda or some terrorist group like that, get it home, tear it apart, do like what Love Bravo here does, and make it better, right? Make it better into something that's more advanced, something they can use in weaponry, right? So, and that's just another way for the United States of America going, this is ours, you can have it, right? And that's another way of doing it. Yeah, we were going to go to Scotland, and while we were in Scotland, we investigated the Edinburgh Vaults, which is one of the most famous haunted locations in the world. And I tried to take this with me. No. That was a big fat no. So I was like, what we got to do to take the FLIR imaging with us? And they said, there's a pamphlet about this thick, and it has to be approved through the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, and up to even the White House needs to know where that camera went, right? And I'm like, I'll just leave that home, and there's like $2,500 worth of fees involved in that, just to take it out of the country.
I used to work years ago for a defense contractor, and I don't know if it was FLIR or what it was, but they had something
it was just a joke. The guys were talking. They could look at the people getting out of their cars in the parking lot. And the guy inside had something, and he could tell them which one was a woman and which one was a man due to the temperature. I think it was the temperature difference.
Yeah, there's some advanced training with these things that you can really decipher what's on that screen. I'm just looking for something cold or hot right in front of it. That's all I care about, you know.
The real hotties. That's what the real.
Exactly. There is a temperature reading on the actual screen that tells you the exact temperature, and it's precise down to, was it 0.02 degrees, I think? It's precise. I mean, it's just right on target. And then there's a variance that you can set different parameters of the coldest and the hottest on the screen, and you can turn the black of it hot or the black cold, and then white's cold or hot. You know, you can change your parameters, and you can turn it into this weird looking orangey stuff like y'all just seen on the camera.
Do you
So
watch Burn Notice? Burn Notice, they use all that equipment, but they just don't call it by its name.
Right.
oh, I'm sure they can't. Yeah, I'd imagine.
Get you in a lot of trouble if you followed up on the information. If you
Do what?
I say it's something that could get you in a lot of trouble if you followed up on the information. You thought you had a hottie, you might have a hottie.
Yeah, they could get bad. For me, I'm gonna say FLIR about 8 times. I paid them $4,500.
Oh my
FLIR,
God.
FLIR, more FLIR. You know, that kind of thing. Don't worry, I'm not done. That's all I think I have as far as my stuff is concerned. I'm gonna let Mr. Martin get into that, so if you will, go to stage, brother. Everybody welcome Martin Bravo. Hello.
You know, we give, let's see if I can get it to light up. There you go. This is pumping off energy. And for spirits don't have a physical body, so they need energy to communicate or manifest or move stuff around. So this one's made by Bill Chappell. This one, I came across electromagnetic fields in my research, and they're saying that electromagnetic fields can actually give spirits energy to communicate with you. So, you know, I was like, I started digging further. I was like, what creates electromagnetic field? Oh, I'm sorry. What makes electromagnetic fields? Magnets. So, I got rare earth magnets that are the strongest magnets you can get. So I put it into a box, and you can see that this one will get you probably about that far. This one will get you that far before it affects it, and then you get up to it. This thing, I can use it all night long on 2 AA batteries. And ever since I started using one of these, my EVPs have gone from like 1-word answers to full sentences. So I got this. The only drawback to this is it has moving parts inside. So, you have moving parts that can break down, or they even make noise. You can put it up to your ear, you'll hear it. So I started getting into electronic building, and decided that there has to be more. With a circuit, you're never going to get the same amount of electromagnetic field that you're going to get with a magnet. But I started researching circuit building, and I started developing my own stuff. And I had a theory going along the whole time, is what if not only if you gave them an electromagnetic field, but you made it tick at the same speed that your brain ticks when you have a thought that goes off. Your brain has an operating speed. So I found out that it's somewhere roughly like 1 millisecond. It takes 1 millisecond for a thought to come into your brain. So that's how fast this actually puts off energy. If I can get it to, let's see. You'll see the lights kind of blink a little bit. But this actually it generates energy at the same speed that the human brain does. And basically what I was trying to do is give them an electromagnetic brain to be able to think and communicate back. And this one, it's a small circuit. When I first developed it, I put it inside a toy gun, little 1800s toy gun, because I went to go investigate a location that supposedly had John Wilkes Booth here in Granbury, Texas. Now, all the stories tell you that he passed away in, you know, the East Coast. So I was like, you know, how about a trigger object? Not only it's a trigger object, they're going to be drawn to it, but what about one that puts off energy? They're going to be more drawn to it. So I put the circuit inside, turned it on, walked around a little bit, and 2 hours into my investigation, I got an EVP that said, and it was a female that said it, "Your gun. No, I didn't like Lincoln. Did you?" Now, how insane is that? And not only did I get an EVP while I was using this gun, but I got one that talked about the gun and Lincoln at the same time. How could this woman have even known that that gun was tied to Lincoln and the assassination and all that? But, so, you know, I found out early on that I was actually pretty good at building some of this stuff. But, so a lot of my research is in the electromagnetic field area, because that's what they use to communicate, or, you know, back and forth. Let's see. Now, he was talking about static meters. Let's see if I can.
Got it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There it goes.
All right, it went off.
Just went off.
Let's see if I can make enough static. You see that? So if there's static in the room, right now this is attenuated to positive static. So if you make negative static, it turns off the light. Okay, these are kind of nice to have because you can set them in a room. You know, you set them anywhere in a room and you see a blue light all night long. But then all of a sudden it just goes off for no reason. Nobody's in the room. You know, you have this thing. I don't know if I can get it to you. Well, you have this thing that picks up static, and then this one. Which one's easier to carry around, you know? This one cost $100 to make. This one cost me about $5 to make. You know? So it pays to do your research. Let's see. Yeah. Let's see if I can get this going.
Tell them about the Zoom while you're setting it up.
Yeah, this Zoom recorder, it's a studio recorder. It's made for musicians or people that do a lot of studio recording. And the good thing about it, and the reason why I use it, is this actual recorder has 5 onboard mics, and I can set the sensitivity. I can hear mosquitoes communicating to each other. That's how sensitive this thing is. But here, let me stop it real quick. Let's see if I can.
This is a really cool piece of device.
Yeah, this one is I made this one for Mike, but it has a speaker built in, and then it has an induction mic inside. But I use the induction mic in reverse to project anything that you play through a recorder into electromagnetic field. Because there's been studies that say that they do communicate with you, and they have been able to speak to you through electromagnetic field. So I was like, if they can do that, why can't we do it back? So, just real quick, I'll do a test. This is Martin Bravo, right? So if I can. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, it's a little loud. Get away from these mics real quick. That's how sensitive this thing is. Test. This is Martin Bravo. Right. So y'all can hear that? Now I'm going to switch it over to